My reaction to the Botanical Garden is a sense of peace, relief, stress, anxiety, but once you're walking down the path, it's almost like love.
I'm Marlene Miller-Pratt. I am the visionary and the founder of this garden. Well, I lost my son in 1998.
I'm Pamela James, and my son lost his life. I became involved with the victims of homicide after his death. I met Marlene when she came into one of our meetings. She came with a picture and an idea of wanting to do a garden. We were right on board with it because our hearts went out to the meaning and the purpose of what it stood for to her.
I used to sit over in Marsh Botanical Garden over at Yale, and I would sit there and reflect and look at the fish in the water. And so I said, this is what we need in this city. We need something where every mother who's lost a child to gun violence can feel the same peace that I feel here at Marsh Botanical Garden. I went to the mayor and I asked her about it, and I explained to her, and she said, Marlene, write me a proposal. When I took the proposal back to her, she said, I see this is going to be beautiful. I give you permission. I had a young man come out here from Hill House, and he said, you know, they talk about people going to service and having post-traumatic stress syndrome. He said, what about us? He said, we sit in the classroom and we have students right next to us. He said, and then 2 days later, that seat is empty. 2 months later, the seat is still empty. We graduate. They're not there.
We all as a community have to come together to combat this issue that is putting a lot of stress on different families and members of families who have been affected by gun violence.
I want anyone that walks down that walkway to let it pop out at them and say, oh yeah, we do have a problem. But I want them to understand that every time a life is lost to gun violence, that generation ceased to exist.
When I go by my son's brick and I talk to him and that when chimes go off, I know that his spirit is right there and that we're connecting, and he's relieved that his death wasn't in vain. You know, that something good can come out of it, and hopefully we can start reaching the youth and getting them to understand how guns rip families apart and maybe find another way of resolving their differences.